Tonight, we are learning more about a deadly shooting in North Carolina.
Investigators say a man died after he was shot by deputies with the Bertie County Sheriff's Office. It happened at a home on Sierra Lane in Windsor, while deputies were trying to serve an involuntary commitment order. Miles Hood has the latest in the investigation.
Bertie County Sheriff Tyrone Ruffin explained the actions that led to the death of 28-year-old Tyshawn Barnes. Ruffin says it began with an involuntary commitment order.
Deputies received the order. The order documented that Barnes threatened to a family member whose name will not be disclosed because of the ongoing investigation, and then he threatened to himself.
Ruffin said deputies arrived at the home on Sierra Lane in Windsor just after 12 p.m. Tuesday. They then began commanding Barnes to leave the residence. Ruffin says a family member escaped the home and tried to go back inside, but was stopped by the police. Barnes eventually walked out of the house.
Barnes exited the residence with a firearm, pointing it in the direction towards officers, and what it appeared to be that he was trying to discharge the firearm. When it appeared that the weapon did not discharge,
he then went back into the home. Moments later, he re-emerged, firing in the direction of the deputies again. Deputies shot back, striking him. Sheriff Ruffin says Barnes was experiencing a mental health crisis. This is the second time Barnes has shot at deputies, according to the sheriff. An incident in 2019 led to his arrest. Miles Hood, 13 News Now.
All right, we will continue to follow the investigation into this shooting death.
All right, peace and blessings, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it. Yet another black man, in this case experiencing mental health issues, has been unalived by the police. You heard the story of 28-year-old Tyshawn Barnes of Windsor, North Carolina. Now, Windsor is only about an hour away from me. And so, once again, it's baffling that we don't hear about these things on the local or national news. This happened on August the 24th, 2024. So that was about 6 months ago. And it was actually 4 days before Tyshawn's birthday. Now, the article or the report state that Mr. Barnes was having yet another mental health issue in which he had threatened to unalive someone in the house, which turned out to be a family member. And so they said the police were called. They pulled up to the scene, got on the bullhorn, and ordered him to come out. And it was at that point, Tyshawn didn't come out, but they said the relative came out. Now, I would assume that that is the relative that he was threatening. And so then somehow, and this is what puzzling to me, they said the relative attempted to go back into the house. Now, I don't know what type of control that the police had over the situation, because they initially said the relative came out with his hands up and was cooperating with the police. So I wonder, how did this relative get the opportunity to attempt to go back in the house? Nevertheless, they say Tyshawn came out of the house. He came back out of the house and pointed a gun at deputies. And as you heard the black sheriff say, it looked as if he was about to shoot, but the gun didn't go off, according to the sheriff. So then he goes back inside the house. Now, from what we've seen and what we've heard from previous stories, stories of long ago, soon as an individual points a gun at the police, they open fire. And so I have to ask, why didn't they open fire then? Nevertheless, Barnes went back inside the house, they said. And when he went back inside the house, he then came back out. And at this point, he did start to fire the gun at the deputies. Or he said he fired the gun and hit their vehicles. And it was at that point that they opened fire, and Tyshawn was pronounced deceased at the scene. And this is a little different because this man actually, according to the reports, opened fire on the police. So I can understand how they returned fire. But what I don't understand is the negotiation tactics. Because they said this is not the first time that they have encountered Tyshawn. Now, they were there to serve an involuntary commitment. Now, anybody who doesn't know what that is when someone, a relative, a family member, a friend, calls the police and say, hey, my relative, he's off his meds, he acting crazy, he's not himself. I need y'all to come and take him to the mental health hospital, or as we call it in the Goldsboro, the 5th floor, I think it was. Cherry, Oberry, whatever mental institution. So the involuntary commitment involves someone who is not voluntarily willing to go. And so this situation in itself presents a particular strange set of dynamics. You have someone who's having a mental episode, but you're bringing the police to say, hey, come with us, involuntarily. And so they said in 2019, they were called to the residence for a similar situation. And they said in this instance, again, they said reportedly, according to this article, that Barnes opened fire on the police that day. But that day, he wasn't unalived. He was taken into custody, given charges, but guess what? He was found mentally incompetent, mentally unfit to stand trial, and the case was eventually dismissed. And so, if law enforcement officers know that they are dealing with someone who has done this before and has previously been excused for his actions, why wouldn't they bring in a type of negotiator, a type of de-escalator? A mental health counselor, someone who is equipped in dealing with the person of this nature, sort of like they did in Minnesota when the white man shot his neighbor, and they said that they didn't want to go and get him and arrest him because he was so mentally unstable, and they waited for about 3 or 4 months to go and actually arrest him after pressure for the community. But there has to be a different way of dealing with people with mental health. The sheriff, Tyrone Ruffin, said that mental health illnesses are more rampant than ever across the country, and working to help people in their time of mental crisis is something that we work tirelessly for every day. Our thoughts and prayers are with the family members. It doesn't look like you're working too tirelessly if your first response is to open fire or cause a situation, cause a standoff basically with someone who has already been deemed mentally unstable. So, prayers and condolences go out to the family. I looked up, his obituary. As you see, they called him Tyshawn Ty Loke. Anybody knows what Loke means? Means in the street, that's short for loco. Spanish for crazy. So evidently people around him knew that he had the propensity to do something like that. So it's saddening once again that, these incidents are so common occurring that you rarely even hear about them. Now, someone called me about another shooting in Windsor involving a young lady, and while I was doing the research on that, here this case is, now this the one he was talking about happened in 2023. I haven't heard about it. In this case, happened in 2024, 6 months ago. And so there's definitely a desensitization of these instances when it comes to news, when it comes to people, when it comes to media. These are not big stories anymore. Police come, they catch a body, they get paid administrative leave. I think 3 deputies are on administrative leave because of this incident. And then everybody goes home and waits till the next incident. And so there has to be some sort of intervention, by the community to, hold officers and also hold mental health professionals accountable. There has to be some better way of dealing with people when they are going through a mental health crisis, which the other young lady that you'll hear about soon was also going through. And so y'all tell me what you think about this story in the comments. I know it's a little different, but still any loss of life deserves to be addressed and see how that loss of life could have been avoided. Once again, 919-587-7782. Peace and blessings. Have a blessed day.
From local stories to Wayne County news, get ready to dive into everything happening in North Carolina with Taylor House Publishing. Got a story to share? Shoot us an email at taylorpublishinghouse@gmail.com. If you're looking to publish your book or need some top-notch mentorship, we've got your back. Join the excitement with the one and only Richard Taylor, right here at Taylor House Publishing. Speak with Richard directly at 919-587-7782. Don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and invite your family and friends to watch.
From Wayne County to the Carolina coast, Taylor House brings the news you love most. Tune in on YouTube, don't miss a beat. Local stories that keep you on your feet.
Taylor House, we got the scoop. Taylor House Publishing.